ufanele Ntuli. Yo, guys, sometimes behind the scenes it can be very tug of war, but yes, yeah, we're here, showing up, being consistent, and making sure that we honor our yes. We honor the commitment that we made, sisatanda, because sometimes you have to keep disciplined. You have to keep showing up and honoring your commitments, even sometimes no mungazizwa. Like you want to do it because we need to learn that our emotions shouldn't rule us, and that's something I have to tell myself right now while recording this one. So, anyways, I digress. Doing this work that well, let me not act like I've stopped because there's no full stop. It's a constant ellipsis or a comma. Um, I realized ukuthi I navigated life numb. And in navigating life numb, you don't necessarily open up yourself to making proper relationships. You don't open up yourself to really meeting people in their depth. Truthfully, I hadn't met myself, so whoever I was interacting with, I was meeting them to the level I had met myself. So if I hadn't even met myself, so you can only imagine how shallow I was navigating life at the time. When you don't allow yourself to feel, when you don't allow yourself to live in truth, people never really know who they're dealing with, because if you're at the church and church says you must be conservative and you must be poised, that's who you show up as. If you're going to groove and you have to be a bit ratchet, you have to do this, that's who you show up as. If you hanging out with hippies, you basically morph into whatever the environment you're in requires of you to fit in or to sort of blend in and not necessarily stand out or be in your truth. So that's how I navigated majority of my life. And having done the work, I realized, Uguti, there's a certain way I want to show up for me, but also there's a certain way that I want to show up for my loved ones. I want to show up intentionally for my family. I want to show up intentionally for my friends. And then the ones that come after the immediate influences, they will just reap the rewards of what I've cultivated with my family and friends, because they are the closest influence when I navigate life, and they are the ones who basically face the different layers that I am maneuvering through. So when it comes to my family, Ngoakantuli, that is my mom's side. My father's side, Agamzila, but I've never really been privy to that side. So the core and essence of Ufanele is basically from the lineage Yagantuli. It is a very conservative family. There's a church at home. Um, Samazayoni, but also at the same time, I have a dose of Durban Christian Center. So, khona nokusindiswa lapho. Ngiyavata on one side. eThekwini, I can go to church, ngebhluke. So you can literally see ukuthi there's a bit of conforming to whatever the environment requires me. Because mangisekhaya kukhona inkonzo, ngiyakhumbula amacici, I can't have jewelry on me. And DCC, you literally come with whatever outfit or accessory that you want. So I had to reevaluate, because I don't have the most affectionate family, but also at the same time, it doesn't resonate as an unloving family. You'll be fed, you'll be clothed, you'll get good education, you will be given good morals. So it's not a case where I'm saying, oh, I wish I had a different family. I just personally desire a certain deeper connection, a deeper essence of my presence in the family space, where I just don't just linger like Casper the Ghost, but I'm rooted within the moral compass, what we stand for, and also infuse new things to also help to cultivate the family tree to grow in its beauty, and also be part of that revamping. And also, I'm 34, if I don't invest in intentionally making time for family, intentionally cultivating relationships with the siblings, with my cousins, abazali uma beshona, who's left? Ithina. You know, so having that realization and how now you're also involved in like makushoniwe, you have to be like, also wena ucabangani if kukhona umsebenzi, hey manje malume you know, like you are adulting. You are part of the stronger branches in the family tree that has a voice, that has to have a say, that has to have an input, you know, so that also makes you review how you show up. So I'm not saying now I'm going to be hugging them, you know, but I can start with making sure that we prioritize family time. Like I know last Christmas we ensured Uguti, we are making breakfast and we all sitting together, and with lunch it was the same thing, and supper. So it's in those small tweaks where umuntu avela phakashe, usually we were just insistent to, you know, we're eating at this time, we're doing this, and then also prioritizing family trips, family lunches, showing up for people's birthdays, making the people that matter to you feel your love, feel your presence, feel ukuthi you see them, you know, because unfortunately the society that we live in, uyolo manje, if they upset your peace, cut them off. Do you understand, Wuti, if you were to look at a tree and we're just constantly cutting off the branches, what will be left? You know, so it's a different thing if you're pruning the branches so that it opens up room for more growth in the family tree, rather than when I'm cutting you off. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it in that space. Suguti, at the end of the day, the full picture involves each and every branch showing up in its fullness and in its trueness, rooted from the ones that lived before. So having seen that importance, I really intentionally make time to forever go home, to go to Makot and learn about Ukchala, to observe how they maintain Igceke. Because also with the loss of my grandmother, I realized ukuthi iwile le mbewu, and it would be a disservice to her memory ukuthi she's worked so hard to cultivate an atmosphere where everybody feels safe to go home. And if we, as the next generations, demolish that, her work will be in vain. And I think there's always better ways to do things, and there are more ways to make more things abundant, to keep her memory, to honor what the essence of abantu bakwaNtuli are. But if it's not in a collective manner, it will fade away. And what I don't want, the very core space that made me ufanele lo yena today, to fade away purely because I was nonchalant in how I approached my family. I was nonchalant. It was, if you spoke bad about me, I'm not even gonna come and have a conversation with you. I'm just gonna be out of sight, out of mind. Let's cut that branch off. Now it's like, just like how I had uncomfortable conversations with myself, you need to be open to having uncomfortable conversations with the ones that you love. And not because of lack of love, but you really want to cultivate relationships that are true, that are accountable, that are vulnerable, where people are safe to be, and the culture and the essence of the family is also kept, right? So we are navigating that space, because once you've come to a point where you feel pretty solid in yourself and you can extend yourself to others without losing ubuwena, it's very important to also extend to other environments that influence you, which those environments mustn't compromise the amount of work that you have done on yourself. In fact, they should also get to enjoy the fruits of all the work that you've invested in yourself. And hopefully also, if they see ukuthi lo msebenzi owenzile in making sure that you show up in your true form, um, inspires them to also know what they need to navigate and pour out as they were designed by God. One thing I will always like hold close to my heart when I broke into the industry, after having resigned from the bank and coming to my mom, I'm like, I'm leaving a permanent job. I'm gonna go study. All I have is my faith, you know? Trust me, and like this is a mother who has three kids. All of us have resigned at some point and just winged life. At this point, she was just like, another one, But gracefully, Uma has allowed us to be individuals in that. So for her to then see the faith that I had to pursue the career that I pursued, and then to see the very career accepting me and embracing me and really bringing me some form of stability in that particular industry, I saw um, my mom's faith increase from that. Till today, Uma will watch each and every episode of every show that I'm in. And when I ask her why she does that, she's just like, how can I ignore the faithfulness of God? And not to say that she thought I would never make it, but it's like, ngikubonile uthatha a risk, and I've seen the fruits, like the work that you put in has finally paid off. So hence I'm saying, Wuti, the journey sometimes you take in isolation and you take solo can really spark something else in someone else that they didn't know they were capable to ever experience. So it's important, Wuti, we stay in this journey so that others can also join in. Then we move on to friends. Friends, I think I also approached it. I didn't necessarily want to say nonchalantly, but I was very okay with, I'll see you if I see you, we'll hang out if we hang out. And also, I can hop from one group to another. It's nothing, you know. I never made a conscious effort. Like, I met pretty dope people, but I remember a friend of mine passed away a couple of years ago. And it was the first time at his funeral where I was like, oh, this is your father. This is your mother. This is your. I didn't even know he had siblings. You know what I mean? So you realize, Uti, years are passing, but there's no substance, um, there's nothing tangible in the relationships that you um, find yourself being in. So that's another thing. When I realized, yes, I may know quite a few people, but it felt more like quantity than quality. But also, then I also had to check in on myself. How have you been showing up? Have you ever given the note or would say, oh, shame, I would like to know you deeper. But also, it goes back to that point that I was saying, Wuti, you can only meet abantu as deep as you've met yourself. Because I only started thinking, Wuti, hey, boyazi. Okay, also age as well. Because now we really show up because scat, and where like adulting has taken us. But I had to really be honest, Wuti, I haven't spent intentional time cultivating relationships with the community that I want. So another part of this podcast is like, can we just really be people that create communities of uplifting conversations, of intentional conversations, intentional, just like how you show up for yourself, show up for others. I mean, in the past year, friends have gotten married, friends have gotten or have lost parents, have like l- proper life changing circumstances. And you realize how much community matters. Well, quality community matters. How you, usukoleka manje umnikelo, oh, isipheko lana. You just like, how are we becoming our mothers? How are we, hey, uhambe uyovela lapha, wena usumele umndeni. So it's like, I'm not trying to be an island. So having done the work on myself, it has really encouraged me to look outside of myself, because as much as you benefit from creating boundaries and building these new layers of yourself and exploring when it also then the domino effect is that it extends to the people that are easily around you or influenced by you and influence you in those different capacities. So I was just like, yazi, ngiyafuna mina ukufika kini. Ngiqobela amazambane ngenzeni ngenzeni. Do you need a prayer? Do you need this? You know, getting comfortable with even asking people, how would you like me to show up for you? Have I been showing up in the right manner? And sometimes the answers are not that great, but also sometimes you realize we have literally outgrown each other, and it's that tug of war again of Wuti, do I still keep you in my life or do I release? And sometimes you're the one that's being released, you know, because as much as not everybody's your cup of tea, now you are not everybody's cup of tea. And that does not necessarily mean you're a bad person. It's just the reality of life. So I do encourage you guys to really take an audit of the relationship dynamics in your family and what is working, what is not, and what you want to revamp and make intentional time depending on the culture of the family and navigate and just really show up intentionally. And then with the friends as well, do the same thing. Have honest conversations, uncomfortable, but be accountable and vulnerable, especially if you feel like someone really, really matters to you. Ta-da! You know me, ain't gonna catch me slacking. Uh, the question for this episode: when was the last time you felt humiliated and what made you feel that way? As I said, over to you then, my dear. But yeah, once again, that is a wrap of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do share, engage, please answer the question, and also make sure, guys, you get a journal so that you can keep track of the questions and things you want to unpack. But for me, Nyantanda, and see you in the next episode. Bye.